I'm here to talk to you about the post-digital transformation world, which is already in aspects here. So a couple of things, and I want to give you a caveat there, and again, despite the introductions that you get. I'm not a futurist. I'm a realist. So I'm going to give you one warning about everything. Don't believe a word I say. Everybody who does keynotes, everybody who's a speaker, everybody's a writer, and I'm guilty on all three aspects of that. Every one of us has this idea that somehow we get an immense amount of certainty being up here, looking at it from this direction. And it's a danger, because in a time of fundamental change, one of the biggest dangers we have is how we see things. Now, most of you are familiar with this picture, the three men and the elephant. It's a famous story where everybody grabs the blind men and I have to say visually impaired people now who were grabbing part of the elephant, and they would take a part of that and they would say that was the elephant. So one found it was a stool, one found it was a piece of rope from the tail, and all that sort of stuff. That's where we are in our current position in business, and we discovered this, and this is the great quote from Werner Heisenberg. Heisenberg, famous for the Heisenberg principle, and Heisenberg was a physicist. And Heisenberg discovered, as many of the physicists did in the early 20th century, that it wasn't the physical world that changed. The world of Newton was still out there. It was how we saw it, and how we asked questions. And how we asked those questions changed the physical world into a world that gave us nuclear physics, the atom bomb. And on a more positive note, gave us transistors, which led to silicon chips, which now lead to quantum computing, and have changed our world of business. It's not the answers that you have, it's the questions that you ask. Because nothing is certain. And that's why I say anybody who thinks they're a futurist, anybody who thinks they can predict the future, is just plain wrong. So you're wondering, guy gets up here, talks about Heisenberg, you've come to talk about digital transformation, tells me that digital transformation's over, hasn't got any answers, just got questions. When's the next session, right? This is as good as the material gets, folks, so we get some smiles out there. Okay, so publishing. So why am I here to talk to you about this stuff? Because I've been through it. I've lived through it quite recently in the whole aspects of digital transformation. That's what I want to talk to you a little bit about before I talk about the world of the future. And in publishing, we were very much the canary in the coal mine, as I've talked about us. We had publications. Now, if anybody's been around in IT for more than 10 years, and even going back to the 70s and 80s, you will recognize these publications. We were the biggest computer publisher, technology publisher in Canada. We still are, but in a different aspect. In their computer world, Computing Canada, if you grew up in this industry, you read one of these publications and you waited until you could sign up and qualify to be on them. We actually used to qualify. Another interesting thing, and this is a wonderful thing if there's any publishers in the audience, you see the computer world, there's a price on it.